Hey guys, it is Christina here. Welcome back to the channel. I will try and keep this one quick because my family are getting ready to go off and we might be leaving just for a quick trip. Anyway, so they may all come back essentially. So if they do, you'll know what's happened and I've stopped recording. But essentially I wanted to come and do this video. Sorry for the shaking and stuff because I don't have my tripod with me. I wanted to come and talk quickly in here about why I'm doing carnivore. Now, there are multiple reasons that I'm doing carnivore, one of which is because my blood sugar was really high. So if you've been following me along this journey, you know that my blood sugar started at like 21.1, which is, I should be in a hospital at that point in time. I personally chose not to do that because that's not what I want to do with my life. And so I decided that if I'm not going to go down that pathway, I need to go down the pathway of doing something about it. And so I took radical action and I took my life into my own hands and decided to take that action. But another aspect that I don't really talk about a lot is that for me, this was a spiritual move as well, in the sense that previously in my life, I have had a health situation where I died, and essentially, I was revived and they kept me alive with lots of different measures. So essentially I had a baby at, I think 32, 33. She was my 7th baby and I had placenta previa. So my placenta had been eating through my uterus and into my major blood supply. So at the time of birth, I had a placental abruption and then placenta previa. So my placenta was coming first, and then placenta previa, and then placenta previa, where it had invaded other areas outside of my actual uterus. And so that was a life-threatening situation. I knew prior to that I was going to die in that scenario, and I had started to warn my husband about it. Now, I did that because I had such a strong sense that that's what actually was going to happen. And for me, it was a conversation with God that I'm going to die in this pregnancy, and I took that information and I wanted to prepare my family and my husband for that. So, I would talk to him about things like what I wanted at my funeral. I would talk to him about, and he hated these conversations, by the way, but for me, I needed there to be nothing left. I needed to have that completed. I told him how I wanted my kids raised and all of those types of things, because I'd been to friends' funerals where the partner said, we didn't talk about these things. I don't know what he or she wanted. And so I was determined that whatever happened, he knew what I wanted, and what decision he made from that was based on whatever decision he made, but he knew, making that decision, what I actually wanted. And so I had those conversations with him because I had a strong sense that that's what was actually going to happen. And so fast forward to now, or 6 months ago, 4 months ago, it's nearly 5 months now ago, a little bit longer because I danced with the idea for a little bit. But fast forward now to like 6 months ago in my life, I had a similar experience and a similar conversation where essentially, if you believe in conversations with God, for me, that conversation went along the lines of you either get life insurance or you create life insurance by doing carnivore. And it was specific to me. It wasn't just you need to change your diet. It was no, specifically do carnivore. And so I went down the pathway of going, okay, I'm going to do carnivore. That's what I'm going to choose because I want to be here with my kids. I want to provide them with the insurance because I'm here, not because I've died and they've got some money from that. And so I made that decision from that perspective and for that reason plus more. And so making the decision was part of it, then researching it and understanding it and getting through all of my brainwashing that I had experienced through my education and all of the other stuff as a practitioner, took time. Not too long a time, because I just knew I had to be obedient and I needed to do those things. And so I did start relatively quickly, but also too, I knew that I liked meat. So that was going to be sort of fairly easy to do that part. It was just going to be the hard part of not eating anything else. And so for me, when people ask me the question of like, how do I afford it? And yes, there's been times while we are traveling, I'm in my tent right now. There's been times when we were traveling that I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for the next meal. I don't know how I'm going to pay for the next couple of days, etc., etc. And I got to this point where if it's God's will, it's his bill, and if there's no money for it, then it's just a fast. I will just fast, and it won't hurt me to fast because I've got plenty of the Christina bank still on my body. So, you know, any extra weight is kind of, you know, it's a bank of Christina that's been put there previously. And so that's how I think about it from that perspective. I know for some this will not make any sense, but for me it's complete sense that, you know, he has guided me to take this pathway, and therefore he's going to pay for it to happen. He's going to make it happen. I certainly need to be obedient with that as well. But I can tell you, so far I haven't had to fast because I couldn't afford a meal. I have fasted because I wasn't hungry, but not because I couldn't afford a meal. And every single time, you know, either some money will drop back in my bank account, someone will purchase something, or I'll go into a store and they will have discounted something. You know, I've been into a store one time and they had chicken Marylands. I try not to eat too much chicken because I know that generally makes me gain weight. But chicken Marylands they had there for $1.50. 2 chicken Marylands. Plenty for me. I had butter. I could always stick some butter on it. And so $1.50, cheap meal. Yes, it's not organic. Yes, it's not the most, you know, probably that chicken is not the best quality chicken that there actually ever is. But because I'm eating so much less in regards to inflammatory foods, like I'm not eating any of the fruits or vegetables that are going to inflame me. I'm not eating garbage. I'm not eating any grains. I'm not eating like those types of things. I actually have a little bit of room for things not to be perfect. And that's what I was saying to somebody yesterday who asked me about weighing up the costs of, you know, pro-inflammatory and non-inflammatory and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter because it's so low. Maybe if I was somebody that did matter, I would think about it. I'm not somebody who has high histamine problems and all of that type of stuff. And so, you know, it doesn't matter as much. I have some buffer space. I'm going to take that buffer space and make it so that I have a cost-effective meal and I can actually eat. So that's just a little snippet of why I'm doing what I'm doing, how I think about it from a budgetary point of view, that the money's always there. And, you know, I don't go out and buy, like, especially occasions, I go and buy, like, the tomahawk steak. Like, especially, I'm doing that on my birthday, all right? But, you know, I'm not doing that every day. I'm mostly eating things like mincemeat and, you know, I eat what's on special. What's on special at the supermarket? What's it special on Aldi's? What's it special at the IGA that we're at? You know, we camped at one place in 1770 where one IGA is quite expensive and the other one is fairly cheap. Well, not cheap, but reasonably priced for its location, and so on, because everything has to be shipped there. And so the expensive one, what they would do though is when their meat got close to its use by date, they would stick it in the freezer and they would half price it. So I would shop by first going to the place where they would half price the frozen meat, because it didn't matter to me if it's frozen. And then I would go and shop at the cheaper IGA for everything else or whatever. And again, I would look for what's on special. You know, when things are getting close to their use by date, I can cook them immediately and we can eat them straight away, and that serves us. So that's the answer to some of my questions there. I hope you have the most amazing day ever. If you do have any questions, pop them in the comments. I'd love to hear those from you. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about, pop those in the comments too. Again, I'd love to be able to talk about those topics. And if you are looking to work with a practitioner, I'm available. I have spots available at the moment. I'll put the link in the comments below, and or just send me a message and I will hook you up. All right, bye for now. I hope you have the most amazing day ever, and I will talk to you soon. See you later.